Hello everybody, this is Jonathan Marr with the Hometown Historian channel. I have decided I am out on a run of errands and things and whatnot. I figured, hey, you know what, this is a really pretty area going out here through 322. I figured, why not go on a country roads take me home drive? It's a pretty day. I have to go get some blood work done out in Myerstown for my doctor for an appointment I have this Thursday. I am famished because I have been fasting for 12 hours, which is very hard for me because I like to eat. But anyways, originally it was supposed to be a much more involved appointment, but we figured out the problem with the cough finally, it seems like, at least, which is really awesome because I was getting sick of that. So basically it wound up being something as stupid and simple as it was like acid reflux, which I guess how lisinopril causes that cough, it has nothing to do with your lungs. It's more, it causes a problem with the top of your stomach, the for lack of better words, the sphincter muscle, or whatever you call it, at the top of the stomach that keeps stuff from sort of regurgitating and going up your esophagus. That, I don't know if it damages it, hopefully not permanently, but it causes problems with it, that it no longer functions like it's supposed to, at least for a period of time, and stuff just starts coming back up, and then with COVID as well, it affects certain people, particularly men, you know, middle-aged men, it sounds like, that it causes somewhat the same problem. So unfortunately, I sort of got a double whammy with that. So this thing, he's hoping over time this will wind out reversing that problem, and then at some point I'll only have to take it as needed instead of taking one a day. So we'll see what happens, but it's good news. Yeah. So we're gonna go on this drive up 322. We'll be taking a right here going to, not to Gretna 1 yet, but we'll be going up here with Ephrata, and then maybe stop by the Coleman Memorial Chapel and do a little video there as well, because I've been wanting to go and do that. I talked about that a little bit with the Coleman Chapel in Lebanon, the differences between the two. I mean, they're very, actually somewhat similar. I guess the Coleman Memorial Chapel is a little less Gothic, if you will, than the Coleman Chapel, but it's just such a beautiful church. And it's sad, though, that the reason that it was built, you know, it had several purposes, but a lot of it had to do with memorializing the son of one of the Coleman brothers who had died at, I think, 14, horse riding accident. So it's always a shame when someone so young passes on, but this is, I always thought this was a really pretty drive. You're just sort of driving through the trees, and it's just one of those really captivating roads. So I figured, hey, why not take a trip and do it this way? So yeah, and things are starting to change. Starting to see the changes in the leaves. Not a ton yet here in central Pennsylvania, but you are seeing certain types of trees are starting to yellow and get those colors. So hopefully we get a really vibrant fall this year. Last year, because of sicknesses like that, I didn't get out to do a lot of fall drives like I had intended. So we're probably going to do a couple of those drives over the mountain and back again. Also the one over Gold Mine Mountain, we'll want to do that as well, because those are two areas that are really pretty. Also, I can't think of the route number off the top of my head, but I'd like to do that as well. Cliff and I were taking that when we were doing a job out in Dauphin, Pennsylvania. We were doing a paint job, did some roof work as well. And I'd like to go out to Dauphin anyways, because I'd like to visit the gravesite of Colonel Timothy Green. He was the guy that headed up the Hanover Resolve. We talked about Colonel John Rogers, quite a bit. We visited his graveside, but I'd like to visit that because they do have I think it's a pretty cool Revolutionary War memorial, and then There is a Pennsylvania historic marker for Colonel Timothy Green. There's a couple other things out there that I'd like to visit as well. It's a neat little town. Yeah, so a lot of trash there. I hate seeing that. Just went by the Hopewell Forge Mansion. We did that pretty early on in the channel, actually. A really neat place. They had a Hammer Creek. We went by there. It had a little sign. When they go over certain creeks, it'll have a sign there that says, this is Susquehanna, this is Swatara, this is Hammer Creek, whatever it might be, Quittapahella or Tulpehocken. But Hammer Creek, they had two forges actually. They had two different dams back there, and pretty neat operation. It was one of the first forges that Peter Grubb, the original, very first iron magnate, Iron Dynasty patriarch, eventually selling all his sons sold the vast majority of their holdings with Cornwall Iron Furnace, and like Hopewell Forge Mansion, they sold all that to the Robert Coleman. They still did retain, out of Lancaster County, they retained the Mount Hope estate, which is now where Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair runs out of. They actually ran a iron furnace and forge and all those works out of there. That's where they ran their Iron Dynasty out of afterwards. We're coming up now on the town of Brickerville. We will be making a left on 501. If you make a right, that'll take you down to Lidditz, or as Regis Philbin likes to say, Latits. This is still one of the funniest TV moments, because it's a Dutchy name. It's like that, and he's like said Latits, and they sort of all looked at him and was like, I don't think that's the way it's said. But want to start going down there to Lidditz and Mannheim, and a lot of really neat history in those two towns. A lot of history. But we're not going to stop at the Coleman Memorial Chapel that's coming up here. I will do that on another day, maybe when I go down to Lidditz. Possibly if I go down towards Ephrata, there's a really neat church and cemetery that I've been wanting to visit for a while, so maybe I'll join that up, because I try when I do my videos or do my runs, I try to link, unless it's really close, and that's the Coleman Memorial Chapel there. It's just such a beautiful, and it's probably a good thing I don't go out and film because they're mowing right now, but it's got the Gothic look, but it's got more like the red sandstone that it's made out of. Really neat history to that. Sad history, but very neat. But we'll stop there at some point and do the history of that. But we're on 501 North now. We'll be going towards Schaeferstown, and then we'll be going towards Myerstown, where I gotta go and get my blood taken. I gotta get the needles. The Pokeyville, as my doctor likes to call it. He's like, we're sending you to Pokeyville. I've gotten so used to I used to hate needles. Well, I still do, but I think you get so desensitized. It's like, hey, we're coming here to take your blood when you're in the hospital. They're showing up at like 5 or 6 in the morning every single day, and they're poking you. When you get a good one that can get it done and over with quickly, which most of them are, the nurses that do it, it's not bad. But every now and then you get somebody that just can't do it, and they're like jabbing you, and then like, oh, I can't get it from here. Let me go to an area that's even more painful. Oh, I had to finally tell the one girl that was doing it. I said, hey, you can't keep on doing this. You're nailing nerves. And I said, it just hurts. And she was ticked off, but it was like, if you don't know what you're doing, sorry, that's not my problem. Send somebody here that's not gonna like torment me. I'm pretty laid back and easygoing about stuff like that. I'd like to check that out. It's a Boy Scout reservation, but you can actually go out there and hike. The public is allowed in a lot of the parts of that. Camp Bayshore is out the Green Point where we visited. We talked about Joseph John's ghost, potentially, whatever it was, and the Green Hand. That's specifically just a Boy Scout camp, so that's why that's just private. Whereas the Edward Mack is actually public park as well. A lot of mountain biking. That's a place that if you like SWAT. Oh shit! Okay, that guy was hiding. That was a deer. It was a buck. Nice rack on him. Had a bunch of stuff in the back of my vehicle. Ooh. We're gonna quick stop this here. Alright, we're back. They came up on road construction. They're repaving. As you can see, the road is nice and repaved. So I figured I'm going to stop there because I don't think it's a good idea to be filming, because I don't like to film people without their permission. We're still on 501 North here. We're coming up on Schaeferstown here shortly. Definitely get the smell of asphalt here in the morning. One of the funny things that we're going to do, I'm going to talk about too. I find it hilarious, and we'll see whether other people do or not. But I was talking to my niece Ella last night, or yesterday afternoon, about some of the ideas that I have for some of the artwork and things for the merch shop. And one of the things I'm planning on doing, sort of partially as well to advertise the haunted history tales, but something I just found hilarious when I watched the video, which is sad. I find myself hilarious. I'm pathetic, I know, but still. We talked about the green hand. At the one point I was like, talk about the people. I was like, we'll just call up Dennis. And it just, something woke in my weird mind that I was like, when I said that, I was like, don't do it, Dennis. I just found that hilarious. And then it went in my mind, like, I could see the little green hand running around, sort of cutesy, running around, but like, where's Dennis? So we're gonna do some shirts that'll have like haunted history, the Hometown Historian channel, with my niece is gonna make like a little hand, sort of like you think of the Addams Family, the hand that used to run around. She's gonna do something like that, but do it cutesy with googly eyes, and it's gonna be having like, where's Dennis? And a shirt that says, don't do it, Dennis. And it'll sort of be an inside joke for the channel. Whether anybody finds it funny or not, we'll see. But I find it hilarious, so I figured, why not? Probably should say shouldn't, but oh well. There's the Brendel Farms historic marker. I still don't know if that's considered a Pennsylvania historic marker, because it's just different. It's like Department of Transportation instead of the historic marker database people. So I have no idea. At some point we're going to do a walk through here in Schaeferstown, just because of how historic it is. Sorry for the thing there, but I try not to. I'm going to turn off here for a second because I don't like to put people's... So we're through Schaeferstown, that little bit there, and we're continue to head north to Myerstown. You can see how pretty it is going through all the fields out there. You can see for miles and miles and miles. It's such a pretty drive coming up through here through 501. Cliff, I believe, he was doing a road series where he would do America's highways and byways or something along that line, and he did 501. He did it from where it starts in Lancaster City the whole way up to Pine Grove, where it ends at the Veterans Park where the tank is. Thanks for asking. But it is a really, really pretty drive. It's terrifying when it's wet at night. It is slick, but cool drive nonetheless. I love seeing all the corn, the animal feed and all that. Coming up on, I believe it's Riceville next. They have at this, it's like, I don't know if it's a country store or what it is, coming up on the left then once we get into Riceville, but they had a really, really neat, it's called Roadside America, sort of like a roadside stop. Great for kids, great for families. My dad used to take us there. When we went to Gettysburg, we'd stop by this Roadside America, and it had this Amish couple, like large statue thingies that they actually bought here at this store, and then some idiot went and took the head off the one. Whether it's still, right over there it is, his head's still missing, but I don't know if you saw that or not, but like, it's just a shame, like, why people have to vandalize, but somebody basically took the head off and stole it. So, but they had bought that as sort of a roadside attraction then for their store, and then somebody went and did that. I don't think they found yet anything in that regard, but it's just a quaint town here. A lot of the towns in this area really, really neat. I always talk about the images across America, or images of America, and they have the one for Myerstown, but they also have the one for Heidelberg Township, which is like Schaeferstown and all that we just went through. And they have all these cool little towns like Riceville, Buffalo Springs, just a whole slew of Kleinfeldersville, and they just had so many cool historic buildings out through here, and I just love looking through those pictures. And then you see the buildings today, and you think of things that, business-wise, they had the Mikers or Mitchers distillery there that we visited earlier. It was such a cool area, just so many different things, and some of the things like Mitchers, or Michter's, I think is how it's pronounced, sorry, Michter's distillery is just, for the most part, gone, and it's a shame, but there are a lot of these really cool buildings and cool old businesses and that type of stuff that still do exist, so it's cool to see those. And Kate had talked to me specifically. I think she or someone else, I think it was Kate, sent me a thing that she had found when Myerstown was originally called Tulpehocken. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I apologize, but it shows like all the different cool historic buildings. So I'm gonna do a walkthrough on that. I've talked about doing. They also have these historic walkthroughs in Palmyra, Pennsylvania, Jonestown, I believe, and Annville. I know they have one for Lebanon. Whatever. There's some other ones too. I'm sorry, I'm missing some of them, but they're really, really neat. You get to see these historic structures that, and then you can talk about the history of them as well, like different what they were used for, and what over time they were, and the families that made them what they are. Because a lot of them are named after either the person that got it built, or say a famous doctor then of the local area bought it, then it was known as the Kaufman House or whatever it would be, and just cool history. But I want to do these walkthroughs, and as we're starting the Going About Town series, I want to start doing a little bit more, talk about the mills, some of the different, like Myerstown, for instance, was very famous, and even Schaeferstown in this area, like making cigars. They had a lot of cigar factories in this area, and it's something you don't think of. You think, hey, Myerstown, cigars, it doesn't compute, but that was something that was big in this area. And all the little towns around here had little cigar factories, so it was pretty neat bit of history. And we're heading here into Myerstown now, and yeah, very, very cool. But I'm starting to get back to the point where I can do a little bit more. I just have to be careful when I do my walking or hiking or something like that. I gotta I can do a little bit on a certain day, and then I gotta sort of back off the next couple days. Just maybe that's permanent. Maybe once I get the new shoes next week, that'll change things a little bit. But I think just in general, it's something I'll have to adapt to, figuring out what I can and can't do and my limits. And that's just something I got to be careful with, because I don't want to tear my feet up. And this coming up right here on the right, this is the Isaac Meyer homestead. We had visited this when we talked about Isaac Meyer, the founder of Myerstown. Beautiful, beautiful home. Just awesome that they fixed it up, because it had really fallen apart. And then I think in either the 70s or the 80s, they had community had come together, they bought it and fixed it up. And thank goodness it's here today, because we can check it out. And we're coming up, this is the Evangelical Congregational Church, their seminary. But this used to be, coming up here, used to be Albright College before they moved to Reading. Very, very cool. I believe we are going to take a left here on Carpenter Street, because this is where I used to live, in Myerstown for 15 years. A lot of good memories. I used to do a lot of walking on this road. I used to walk all over Myerstown. Loved it. Really good neighbors. Great street to live on. But anywho, so we're gonna probably, once we get over to Main Street, we're gonna end this video. This Country Roads Take Me Home, and I'll say thank you as always for coming along on another adventure. I used to be here in this brick house here. A lot of good memories there. They took my mom's out. Made me mad. They used to come up every fall. It used to be beautiful. But, oh well. Alright, so, as always, thank you for coming along. Wow, that was a nice car. Taking another adventure with me, and as always, we will see you all about town.